Good evening and welcome to another edition of Tigers Roar TV. I'm Tommy Krysan of Pelican Sports TV, joined by NFL scout and Fox Sports football analyst Chris Landry. Chris, good evening.
Good evening, Tom. Good to be with you as always.
It's another Wednesday. It's another look at LSU football. Tonight we're going to recap LSU's victory over Alabama 9-6 in overtime. LSU got the job done, got the win in a very big game, as we all know. We'll preview the LSU homecoming contest against Western Kentucky this Saturday in Tiger Stadium. 6 p.m. kickoff set for you with that. We'll take our weekly run through the LSU athletic department. Got some information about the soccer team making the NCAA tournament. We got some basketball notes for you, a few other things. We'll have the Louisiana Sports Writers Association Players of the Week, a couple of LSU players garnering some recognition there. We'll also speak to Brian Lazar of TigerBait.com, as well as Ronnie Rance of Sports Shorts TV and Sports Shorts Radio. He'll join us later on in the program. A lot to talk about tonight, certainly with LSU. We'll do all the regular stuff. And unfortunately, we begin tonight's show with a story that has rocked not just the sports world, but the entire news world and anybody in this country who's even got the least bit of a connection to sports. The scandal, the unfolding story at Penn State, which continues to unfold even as we sit here on Wednesday night. Chris, you talked about it Monday on radio. It was a topic Tuesday, a topic Wednesday. It'll probably be a topic the rest of the week. Just a horrific situation involving a lot of people, a lot of victims here who I hate to see the victims get left out of the conversation, but there's a lot of bad things that have gone on, and it seems like every hour a little something else trickles out. And I know you haven't been in this profession and in this business forever. It's a scar on the profession, and it has altered, like we talked about on radio today, it has altered everybody, you, me, national media guys, regional, certainly the folks up there in middle Pennsylvania and surrounding areas and in the Big Ten. This goes beyond an NCAA rule violation or a coach making too many phone calls or a plane ticket or a dinner being bought, or it goes way beyond all that. It's hard to fathom. Hard to understand, and it's a very emotional situation for a lot of people in a lot of different directions.
Well, it's rocked the college football world. There's no question about it. I think anytime you have harm against children, it's the worst kind, and they are nameless, they are faceless because they are minors, and more are coming out. And if there's one thing that can come out of this is the shame that's associated with being victimized like this. If there's some comfort to be able to come out and get help and make people aware of the fact that this goes on in society. When it happens in your world, in my world, in the coaching world, particularly at a place that has been, and it is noted in the college football community as the beacon of all of what's right in college athletics, Joe Paterno and Penn State, for this to happen is quite frankly numbing. It's shocking. I'm still in that numb shock phase that I can't quite believe that it's true, even though it's just been bombarded with it. It just doesn't make sense, and it's just a further indication that it is part of the real world, and obviously some horrific things happen over a long period of time, and I just cannot believe that it's obviously got to the point where it's put a stain on a not a great career, the ultimate picturesque career in college football, one that all of us as coaches look up to. I have had sleepless nights. Just there have been times where I've sat in Jerry Sandusky's office talking about prospects, and I guess as a guy that has done wonderful things for charitable situations with kids, and you can't help but wonder, has this all been done for his deviant purposes? It's nauseating. It's quite frankly, it just doesn't. I guess the one thing that I kept thinking about it, put any meaning to us, maybe the big man upstairs puts the spotlight on it, because this happens every day in this country, but we don't hear about it, we don't know about it. And maybe putting the spotlight on it makes people realize. I heard a stat that I can't believe that it's true. I guess it is, that 1 out of every 6 young boys are affected by this. I was on a national talk show with 4 people, 2 ex-players, and on the show, both of them admitted that they were victims of the same thing. And when I heard that, I could not get through the interview. I guess this is something that I go throughout my world and my day and don't think about these things, but maybe I should, and maybe this is a way to shock everybody into realizing that there's more needs to be done to help the victims here. The tragic part of the end of Coach's career is unfortunate, something that that he kind of made his own bed in this process. But I think that the bigger issue here is obviously the victims. And
you know, I remember Mark Emmett when he was at LSU. He made a comment that, you know, when you think of your university or your college as a home, well, athletics is the front porch. It's what everybody sees first when they drive up. And, you know, Tom Landry said, you know, society puts sports on a pedestal. Let's make the most of it. Let's make a positive of it. So this has transcended into much further than sports. And I think what causes the emotion to be stirred, and I've heard all the national shows for the last 3 days and read tons of articles. I think what is stirring the emotion is the idea, and this is a human instinct thing, the idea of if something else would have been done, maybe something could have been prevented. You know, that happens every day in the walk of life. You know, when you get to the end of the day, you go, well, maybe if I did this different, I would have made this sale, or I would have been able to have been successful with this appointment or whatever. But, you know, obviously this is bigger. And when you start hearing the different layers of this story and all the people who had some knowledge, I don't know to what extent, of what exactly has been transpiring since 1994 now, they're saying, that somewhere somebody should have halted this. And even Joe Paterno in his statement today said, in hindsight, I should have done some things differently. Tough for him to say that. That's basically admitting that he wishes he did something differently. At this point, nobody can turn back the hands of time in life, in sports, or anywhere. We know that. But this has really rocked the world, and it puts into perspective, you know, the whole Terrell Pryor and Cam Newton and Willie Lyles, and all them things are nothing compared to this. You know, those are things you broke an NCAA rule book or a university policy or an athletic department manual. You know, this is just, you know, children of victims, and you know, there's been a lot of things that have happened with this thing that make me uneasy. You know, the thousands of people in front of Paterno's house saying, "We love you, Joe." I mean, it was a time and a place to love Joe. It wasn't in front of his house last night, okay? In my opinion. I'm speaking for myself. But again, we're not going to spend much more time on this tonight, but because of the magnitude of this story, you know, Chris wanted to make some comments. I did. We elaborated at length on Pelican Sports Radio today. Chris will take some time on the Chris Landry Show and radio tomorrow to also offer. And who knows what will transpire between tonight and tomorrow when Chris does his show. So you do want to catch that tomorrow. So anyway, we can kind of just hope that, you know, I think Les Miles said it best. I heard him in a national interview say, hey, let's just hope that from this moment forward, everything's done right. Whatever that may be, let's hope it's done right from this moment forward regarding this story.
Well, yeah, and I think we need to remember that it's not, the evil is not always done by evil people. Sometimes evil is good people not doing anything, and that apparently is what happened here. And I wonder if, you know, if it was one of his grandchildren and something had happened, you know, how would he feel? I think that the key concern for me when I first heard about it was there's no way that Coach Paterno could have really known all the details, and I'm sure that some of the gory details were probably left out. But the bottom line, there was enough of a concern to tell Jerry Sandusky to not come back on campus with kids. Well, that's basically saying, we know what went on, don't do it, or don't do it here. To me, that's enough, and I understand you've got somebody, this is not just some coach who passed by through the program, this is a 32-year assistant, obviously somebody he had a close relationship with, but you wonder why they didn't have a more proactive act and give him the help even if it meant putting him away to prevent more innocent kids to be involved. But a lot of things I don't understand and probably will never understand about this.
Tonight, we're all going to recap LSU Alabama. We got comments from Coach Miles. We got comments from players. We got a lot of stuff for you. We remind you, tomorrow, as it is each and every Thursday, it's the Chris Landry Show on the Score 1210 AM and the Score1210.com. Chris Landry is football season all year round, college and pro. Chris, I made a small reference to it, but also tell everybody what you'll have on tap in this week's edition of the Chris Landry Show, which will be tomorrow at 2 o'clock.
Well, we'll talk a little bit about the Penn State situation. Certainly going to get into the Alabama-LSU recap, kind of go over a little bit of the film grade notes of that game. We'll do some of that tonight, but kind of go into some depth there. We've got some key matchups. Going to get back to college football. It's going to be a surreal weekend, no question, particularly when it comes to the Nebraska-Penn State game, how that shakes out. But Stanford-Oregon's a big game. Got Boise State, TCU. We're going to get down into those games. The big match-ups in the NFL we're going to get into. We're going to give everybody an update on the Tulane coaching search. Ole Miss is now going to have a coaching search. We're going to give an update, give a little bit of an indication. I'm going to do some work for them on that. So we're gonna get you updated on all that, all the coaching search stuff, all the games, all the latest in the world of college football and the NFL.
And don't forget, Pelican Sports Radio airs Monday through Friday from 3 until 4 p.m. on that same station. The Score 1210 AM, the Score1210.com, or iHeartRadio.com, your smartphones. We've got it for you, taking your phone calls and mixing it up Monday through Friday from 3 to 4 p.m. And don't forget, immediately following the LSU Western Kentucky game at about 9 o'clock, maybe 9:15, it'll be the WJBO Pelican Sports TV Phones First post-game show on 11:50 a.m. WJBO News Radio, 11:50 a.m. WJBO.com. And, of course, Pelican Sports TV, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and New Orleans. And that also streams on the internet at PelicanSportsTV.com. That's radio icon legend in Baton Rouge, Richard Condon, and me, Tommy Chrysant, and your phone calls. And don't forget to find us on Facebook. The Facebook page is Pelican Broadcasting. It's a great way to keep up with all the activities of Pelican Sports TV and Pelican Sports Radio, the YouTube page, the Twitter account. We've got it all. When we come back, we will recap Alabama and LSU. The Tigers won it in Tuscaloosa, as you know by now, 9-6 in overtime. With Chris Landry, I'm Tommy Chrysant. This is Tigers Roar on Pelican Sports TV, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and New Orleans.
This is Mo Isom of the LSU women's soccer team, and you're watching Pelican Sports TV.
Hi, I'm attorney Kerry Bryson. My law firm focuses specifically on helping people try to solve their IRS tax problems. Lately, so many new out-of-state companies are popping up claiming that if you send them money, they can resolve your IRS problems. Well, what happens if they don't? Do you hire an attorney? Maybe you should start with a local attorney that's already handled hundreds of IRS cases right here in Louisiana. When you hire the Bryson Law Firm, you won't be speaking long distance or sending money to some out-of-town high-pressure salesman. You'll meet with us in person at our office right here in Baton Rouge. Your first visit is completely free and confidential, and we'll tell you on the spot exactly how much it'll cost. So if you're hiring a company to resolve your IRS wage levies, bank levies, or tax liens, check their reputation first, then call me, Kerry Bryson, or go to BrysonLawFirm.com. If you're a Louisiana resident and you have an IRS problem, hire a Louisiana attorney, Kerry Bryson.
Hello, my name is Debbie. Welcome to Debbie's Bridal, a formal affair.
Come see the many great lines we carry in bridal, bridesmaids, mothers, flower girls, tuxes, and more. We also carry over 25 top designer lines in debutante gowns, Mardi Gras, pageant, and prom. Come meet me and my staff with over 30 years of bridal and pageant experience. Debbie's Bridal, a formal affair, Burnside and Gonzales, where service matters.
The family dental practice of Dr. Farrell Fruget Jr. and our highly trained staff are dedicated to providing care and treatment to our patients of all ages in all aspects of dental care. 23 years of experience and advanced training in cosmetic and restorative dentistry, TMJ, and treatment of snoring and sleep apnea allows Dr. Fruget to assist you in achieving the best in dental health. Call us today at 292-9700 to schedule your initial evaluation, because we know how to make you smile.
Chris Landry, there were 2 weeks of build-up and hype to the LSU Alabama game in Tuscaloosa last Saturday. I don't know, we did our very best on Pelican Sports Radio, the Chris Landry Show, and Tigers Roar that week to do what we could, and we appreciate all the nice compliments we got from some people. Bottom line, LSU got the job done. They won the game. They came away with the win, 9-6, albeit in overtime. I thought LSU an analysis of that LSU win. Here now, Coach Miles and the players.
I tell you, when we pulled up to that stadium, that there was a significant throng of people that were in purple and gold, and when we got out of the bus, there must have been, I want to say 15,000. I mean, it was seriously 20 yards deep, and they were just jacked. They were just so excited about the Tigers arriving to that stadium that our players felt it. It was an absolutely great way to be welcomed to that stadium.
Last night, just thinking about it, it finally set in, and like we always say, it's 24-hour rule. You know, we already celebrated for it. We got to come together and prepare for next week.
A game like that, field goals matter. Obviously, that's the only points that were scored the entire game, so we knew that when we got on the field, we had to hold them and prevent them from scoring.
We knew we were going to be the most physical game that we were going to be in this year. Just had to come out and just know that we were going to take licks and we were going to have to give them too. So we came out with the mindset knowing that we were going to have, well, our defense was a little smaller than the offense, so we were just going to have to step it up and lay the wood.
I feel like that's what our game plan was, just to stop number 3, because if we didn't, he was going to, pound us until, he got a touchdown or he ran up the score. So I feel like we did a pretty good job of, stopping him this game.
I wasn't really expecting that, but, it's kind of frustrating, when the game's going along and they're having 2 or 3 guys over, as a wideout. You want to make those plays, but, the defense is really not giving that to you. So Coach did a great job, keep my head in it, keep me level-headed about the whole situation, just continue to play football.
I think we all grew up and we all became a little bit mature and closer in that second half. First time I ever been in overtime, same as Michael Brocker. So it was very emotional for us and it brought us closer together. So it showed us that if we put our mind together, no matter how young we are, we can be a dominant front.
Offense did the things that they needed to do, manage the game. We cannot turn it over. We understand that. Certainly it's not something that's been a characteristic of our offense and will not be. Felt like that George Jefferson came in and gave us a comfortable head in a game that was very, very close, pulled it down, got us a first down or 2, made a throw just before the half to Russell Shepard and led a drive and to me managed the game from that spot well.
None of us played a perfect game, and Jarrett wasn't the only reason that our offense wasn't clicking. We missed some blocks, receivers missed some routes, and that's the name of the game. It's not all about Jarrett playing bad. None of us played too well, and we just kind of let him know that and make him keep his head up.
Jordan stepped in with the role he had. He did a great job with it, but I wouldn't say Lee struggled. It was just more of what Jordan had his role of playing and worked that week.
I think Ware really took some rugged yards and really got yard after carry or after contact, and really his impact was a very big piece of the game. And then I felt like that Ford, when he came in there, did it with speed and was downhill just as hard. And I think that certainly Ford's perimeter speed helped him.
That just goes to having a great coach and believing in you, and you got to give all props to him because he believed in me. And hopefully I wish I would have got in, to make it a better play.
Both Eric Reed and Sam Montgomery are defensive players of the week in the conference.
It's big. I had a good game. I got recognized, but that game's over. We got to look forward to this week. We still got a couple more games, and we got to get some wins.
So it's all about, not giving up and showing great effort to the end. Whether I busted an assignment or whether I did something wrong, I always went 110% out there. I always ran to the football, always tried my best to make the play. And when you do things like that, you're going to get effort plays. So I just kept my fingers crossed, kept running to the football, and something's going to open up eventually.
When you go off script, when your team is not up by 10 points or 2 touchdowns, and it's just the way it is, you turn to those players that want to be champions to make those plays. And I think there's a significant group of men on that team that want to achieve significantly. So I think you saw that Saturday against a very, very tremendous opponent. And I think that's really been the mark of this team.
Chris Landry, you've had time to analyze the game tape and film, and as we look at the stat comparison in the game, your thoughts on what made the game unfold the way it did?
Well, I think most games like this end up being lost more than they're won, and I think that was the case here. I think both offenses struggled, mainly due to good defensive plays, but there was some plays to be had by both teams offensively that quite frankly they didn't do a very good job of taking advantage of. I think Alabama, grading the tape, Alabama certainly had more positive plays in the game, but they had more negative plays, and that was the difference. They did a poor job, particularly in the +30 area, working the screen game and the running game and going backwards and forcing those field goals that were quite frankly fringe, particularly a couple of them into the win, to make for the 4 field goals. I mean, they make one of those field goals, the game's over. They have an interception, they bring it down to the 4, they got an illegal block. When that doesn't happen, they get in there, they score, the game's over. You saw great play by Mo Claiborne, tipping the ball away. Kenny Bell, that's a touchdown. Game over. The great play by Eric Reed, taking the ball away from Michael Williams, 6'6" against 6'2". You're going to win that battle, you'd think. Didn't happen. Credit Eric Reed. That happens, game's over. I mean, you look at it, certainly Alabama had their chances, but LSU minimized their mistakes. They didn't take chances, but they didn't make mistakes. And then when they had the opportunities in the kicking game, they took advantage of them. But there was certainly some misaligns there. LSU defensively didn't cover Trent Richardson out of the backfield one play. The first Alabama field goal, there was a bunch set left. Well, they've got a tight end wide open. I mean, you and I could have just thrown it out there. You could have punted it, and A.J. McCarron didn't see it. That's so goes it. You see Jarrett Lee struggled here. Struggled under pressure, made a couple of bad picks. Jordan Jefferson did some good things on the speed option. Early, Alabama adjusted to it. So certainly you look at Trent Richardson, did some good things, but when they got inside the 30, the +30 area, they seemed to be a little aggressive, which is nothing bad about that. But seemingly, had they gone with their horse, Trent Richardson, a little bit more in that area, probably have a more makeable field goal, and it probably never gets to overtime.
A couple of LSU players garnered some awards. Sam Montgomery was recognized as the Southeastern Conference. We'll go with Eric Reed first. National honors in Nagurski, National Defensive Player of the Week, 6 tackles, the interception, the forced fumble. Of course, he grabbed that blocked field goal too and got a few return yards on that. Eric Reed, the Dutchtown product, did a good job, and they also got the SEC Defensive Player of the Week. Sam Montgomery, the sophomore defensive end for LSU, picked up the SEC Defensive Player of the Week award, 6 tackles, 2 sacks, including one of them sacks in overtime, which was a big play for the LSU defense. Second time he's won his Defensive Player of the Week. And Chris, I said this on radio today. I don't know how Drew Alleman didn't get the SEC Special Teams Player of the Week. They gave it to the Jenkins, the kid who ran a touchdown back for a kickoff back for a touchdown for Arkansas in the second quarter of a game that Arkansas won by 20 points. I would have thought Drew Alleman being 3 for 3. He scored all 9 points, including the game winner, which couldn't have been more between the middle of the post, would have got it. And I almost could have made an argument that Brad Wing should have got it ahead of the Arkansas player. But what the heck do I know? Those guys still did a great job. And when we get to the LSU breakdown a little bit later, we'll talk about the importance of those special teams. Now, Coach Miles was asked about keeping the team focused and moving forward after this big game with all the magnitude. Here's now Coach Miles and some of the players talking about being focused.
Just to recognize that, you know, certainly it's a win. It counts one. It's certainly a very significant win. Gives us the lead in the West. But it just makes the rest of these games much more important. And there was nothing settled in any way with victory. You know, last Saturday, we still have to earn our way. It's all about who we're about to play and what is a necessary improvement that must take place each week. And so, you know, that being said, you know, we're looking forward to the process as we go forward.
We're going to keep our focus, you know, coming out the big victory against Alabama. You know, and we all still on the high, but we got to put that behind us and keep pushing forward throughout the season.
I mean, it gives us a lot of confidence. We're obviously happy that we were able to beat a Bama team as good as they were, so it just sets the tone for the rest of the season. We know that if we want to win the championship, we can't look past anybody. We have to go out and perform this week just like we did last week.
Focus on winning the next one. Just focus on this next week, beating, you know, winning our homecoming game, you know, beating Western Kentucky. That's all we focus on, one game at a time. You know, we don't look at the statistics or, you know, what's in front of LSU. We don't look at the one. We just look at the next game.
And just the excitement and how close the game was. But, you know, it's not the last game of the season, you know, so we got to push on and we got to play other teams.
Stay motivated, stay confident, you know, don't let up, don't let off the gas, keep pushing.
We were very focused, and it feels good to not to have to worry about what other people do, and other people have to win for us to do this, and it feels great because, I mean, we control our own destiny at this point, and we're just trying to stay focused and keep winning.
We've got more Tigers Roar for you. We remind you, this is a live show each and every Wednesday night from 8 until 10 p.m. 2 hours streaming on the internet for your friends and family outside of South Louisiana. PelicanSportsTV.com. You see that on the gold belt on the screen. If you catch us on a Thursday or a Friday on WHNO TV, Channel 20 out of New Orleans, or a Saturday, you got a little replay going. We appreciate you catching the rebroadcast. We know many of you folks do that, and we're grateful for that. But keep in mind, we get this thing flying on a Wednesday night. When we come back, we'll tell you a little bit about Western Kentucky, a team that has won 5 football games in a row, and they're doing well in the Sun Belt at this point in time. We'll talk about that when we return. Chris Landry, Tommy Chrysam. You're watching Tigers Roar on Pelican Sports TV, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and New Orleans.
Hi, I'm Joe Horn, and you're watching Pelican Sports TV.
BetterBatonRougeJobs.com has been extremely beneficial for the TM Automotive Group. And what stands out to us, it's easy to use, not only for us, but it's easy for the applicants. And it's the quality of applicants that we get. It's timely. We post something in the morning. By that afternoon, we have double-digit applicants. And again, it's the quality of the applicants.
Employers, now is a great time to hire, recruit, and look for potential new employees.
BetterBatonRougeJobs.com. It's free for job seekers and great for business.
You're on the same flight.
We'll be on the same plane,
Yeah,
regardless.
when we need to work. Anything together? Do we know that?
Got it.
Thanks, Dave.
The big, brilliant, thin Samsung Infuse 4G. Only from the network of possibilities, AT&T.
Total Occupational Medicine has been treating injured workers and providing drug tests and employment physicals in our community with a staff of certified professionals for over 20 years. Conveniently located at 3333 Drusilla Lane at I-12, Total Occupational Medicine can assess your needs and present a plan to get your injured workers back to work as soon as medically appropriate. Call Jim Bollinger or Dennis Taylor at 924-4460 to put the experienced team at Total Occupational Medicine to work for you today. That's 924-4460.
Pelican Sports TV presents Pelican Radio. Get ready to mix it up with me, Tommy Chrysam, and Chris Landry, weekday afternoons from 3 to 4 p.m.
pro sports, college sports, high school sports, and much more on the Score 1210 AM and on the internet at thescore1210.com.
40 years, 4 decades, nearly half a century. That's how long the citizens of Greater Baton Rouge have chosen Richards Honda. A simple, sincere, and honest process.
Louisiana's oldest and most experienced Honda dealership for over 40 years, Richards Honda.
We're to tell you that Joe Johnson is coming back to town to give you the best deals on used cars. Anybody in the car business in Baton Rouge knows Joe Johnson, and he's going to be soon with the North American Automotive Group, 13557 Airline Highway in Gonzales. Joe Johnson is coming back to the Greater Baton Rouge area to give you the best deal on used cars, and we look forward to getting you more information about the North American Automotive Group. We continue with Tigers Roar, taking a look at Western Kentucky. Chris, it's an old cliche, you can't look past any team. You know, what does a coaching staff have to do? Yeah, the guys can read the paper and the internet, and they can watch Tigers Roar. You know, it's a mismatch on paper. Still got to go out and execute for 60 minutes, but as a coaching staff, how do you keep the guys realizing that you can't look past this? You still have to take care of business this Saturday evening in Tiger Stadium.
Well, you have to make that game count. You know, last week's game was such a big game. It was such a hype game, yet it was such a heightened intensity from an emotion and a physical standpoint. That, but you have to come back and realize that you have to make that game be as big as it was and make that victory as big as it was by coming back and playing well this week and getting better. You've got a couple of important games down the stretch in conference, so playing a Western Kentucky team, albeit a team that you certainly outman, it is a challenge. Listen, to be honest with you, I'm not going to tell anybody that LSU is going to be sharp this week, mentally, emotionally, because they're not. Physically, this is not a great week. Okay, you're beaten up in a game like that, in that style of game. Both teams are beaten to a pulp. The bruises are deeper, they hurt longer, it's harder to get over that game physically. So you're going to have to work through that a little bit and kind of manage reps a little bit for players and certainly get some other guys some looks in this game. And certainly you're facing a Western Kentucky team that's not an awful team by any stretch, but a team that's going to be outmanned to some degree. But that's how you have to do it. I think you have to focus that you're the #1 team in the country. You've earned that right. But with that comes the responsibility of having to play like the #1 team in the country every week.
And Western Kentucky lost their first 4 football games of the year. They've won 5 in a row. So obviously they're a better football team right now than they were back in September.
Watching them a little bit early on tape, saw them against Kentucky, saw a couple of other early games. They would play well intermittently. They couldn't put it together. Ironically, they put it together as a complete game against our friends at the University of Louisiana Lafayette. That's when they played their best game, finally got their offense clicking. You know, if you look at him, Kawan Jakes is a guy that is an athletic quarterback that can throw it pretty well, but they've been very inconsistent getting the ball downfield. Bobby Rainey's a really good back. He's a 5'8", 200-pound back that's really got some wiggle to him, and he's got some explosiveness. But they've had a hard time putting it all together. Well, they have for the past 5 weeks, and they're in the middle of that Sun Belt race. Now, they're going to need some help here as you see them work. They get the ball. They're really good tight end there. They've got to beat North Texas, and they've got to hope that Arkansas State can lose a couple of games to get into the Sun Belt. But you know, as you watch them here, this is a team that I think's gotten better as the week's gone along. The passing attack, albeit inconsistent, started to play a little better. They've had some protection issues up front, without question. It's certainly problematic in a game like this. But this is a great opportunity for them. They do not come in with any delusions of grandeur. They know what they're facing. They're facing a really good team, but this is a great litmus test for them. They want to play well and kind of see how they match up against a team like LSU.
And, you know, Western Kentucky was a solid 1AA program, won a national championship. I want to say with Jim and John Harbaugh's father, Jack, was coaching them, won a 1AA national title about 6 or 7 years ago, was that?
A little bit longer, yeah. Jack was a great coach.
Yeah, and then they've recently come into the football championship subdivision, the football bowl subdivision, I should say. Here's some comments from Coach Miles and the players about not looking past Western Kentucky, and for that matter, not looking past any team.
We go to Western Kentucky, who's won 5 straight, very talented team, beaten some very quality football teams. You know, the Florida International 10-9 scores just shows how competitive they can be. And they got a tremendous running back in Bobby Rainey, a very, very talented linebacker, Andrew Jackson, and guys that have speed and can play. So playing better, and what we'll have to do certainly is this. Prepare to play our best and to play improved football against Western Kentucky and play for victory. And the one thing that this team's been very comfortable at, they understand that there is a necessary improvement needed each week, and certainly they'll be pushing to get that accomplished this week.
Just glad this band week's over. There's a lot of hype, a lot of stress. Practice was intense, so I'm just happy to move forward in the season and march towards the ultimate goal.
We're still number 1, and these guys are going to come in. It's probably harder than Alabama, and we got to, go out there and fight hard again.
Every time, another team comes in here, they give LSU our best shot. Even if we were 1 or we were 25, it doesn't matter, They'll come in here with it on their mind to come out of, Tiger Stadium with a victory. So we just got to practice like, this week it's Alabama all over again. So I feel like we got to just focus in on this team, and not look past them, and not, focus on what we did last week and just focus on this week.
We can't just overlook this team. Nothing like that. We have to go out and prepare and play how we've been playing.
But we look at every opponent as equal opponents. We're going to come into this game, prepare hard all week, and go out for another victory on Saturday.
Western Kentucky's a good football team. They've won 5 games in a row, and they know how to win. So anytime you have a team like that who really has nothing to lose, it can be a scare, but we're prepared and getting ready to play Western Kentucky just like we get ready to play Alabama.
We got to give every opponent that comes in some respect, and they're obviously a good football side too. So we just have to go and prepare like it's any other game. We want to practice every week like we're playing the number 1 team in the country. So I don't think we're going to have any trouble, getting ready, getting prepared for this game. We're still on a mission to do what we set out to do in the summertime. So we haven't accomplished that yet. And we're not going to stop until we accomplish that. So.
The Hilltoppers are led by Coach Willie Taggart. We'll get a look at some of his info here. Former player at Western Kentucky, and with this 5-game winning streak, it looks like he is making some strides with this program. He's in his 2nd year. They struggled last year, but they're improving as we said. They're a better team now than they were in September. What can you tell us about Willie Taggart?
Well, Willie's a good young coach. He was a running back at Western Kentucky back in the day, and he came off a Jim Harbaugh's staff at Stanford, and as he was a running back coach there. He got the job a couple years ago and worked hard to get it, and certainly through the connections with Jim's dad, Jack. It was a good combination, obviously, with the background having played there at the school. He is in kind of making a transition with his offense. Certainly, he wants the downhill run game. He wants to be able to work the play-action passing game. The personnel, quite frankly, is not quite there. Rainey's certainly a good back. Defensively, they want to be a 4-3 front, and that's what they run predominantly. They're not really talented. They're Mike backer. Andrew Jackson's a pretty good player that's good against the run. But, as we've talked about, they've gotten a little bit better and gotten a little more confident, and so their ability to move the football with a little more effectiveness. They've been able to move it most of the year. It's just they've not been as consistent protecting the football or working it downfield. So they've become a little bit restrictive with working the short passing game and the running game, and they haven't been as effective through the first 4 losses of the year. But they've started to turn that around here, and I expect that they'll come in and play hard and play pretty well, and be curious to see how long they can stay in the game.
And we're talking about what Western Kentucky may do or not try to do going into this game. As we mentioned, they are in the Sun Belt Conference. They lost their first 4 games. They've won their last 5. Coach Les Miles and the players took a little time earlier this week to address the Western Kentucky scheme and game plan. Here now are those comments.
Because we know we're going to get that best football this Saturday. This is like going to be that Super Bowl. All those kids, players coming in Death Valley trying to show their abilities because they know it's going to be a big game for them. And we're coming off a big win, so they know that they can catch us in a letdown or something like that. We just can't let it happen.
Yeah, they do. They got a great secondary. They got good skills back there. We're going to do a great job beating them because they play a lot of man like Northwestern did. So we got to put our game plan in for a little man-man coverage this week.
They're pretty balanced with the run and the pass, and they do a lot of shifting and motion and things like that we have to make a lot of adjustments to.
Yeah, I think their coach has done a great job. I think that they've beaten some quality opponents. Their 5-game win streak just lets us know that, frankly, we better be prepared because they're capable, and we need to show improvement and play well.
We learn from history what happens when you look past an opponent, you get knocked off, so we know we got to stay focused, prepare this week like we do every other week and try and get a victory.
People say that, and hearing the rumors going around that, they're not as talented and stuff like that, but they are a very talented team, very strong team. Every team, every Saturday, they have their talented players and they have their plays they run that if you do not prepare for them or if you overlook them, you can mess around and end up getting in a dogfight, and then it's a coin toss of who wins and who loses. So we try to go in there and prepare for everybody 110%.
Chris, you mentioned two of their key players as we get a look at some stats on their athletic quarterback, Kawan Jakes. You see his season totals there, more interceptions than he would probably like, but he has put some numbers, some yardage up, and he has thrown some touchdowns.
Yeah, that's been the key there. The turnovers were mostly in the early part of the season, and they've corrected that to some degree. He's got some ability to extend a play and throw on the move, but that's the real key for him. With the running game, if they can make more consistent plays downfield, which is going to be very tough in this game, but that's been the key to their success, being able to get some plays downfield, and that's really opened up their offense a little bit. And defensively, they've talked a little bit about, athletically, they've got the corners are pretty solid, particularly at the Sun Belt level. But this is a pretty solid unit on the defensive side from a Sun Belt level conference level squad. But up front, they don't match up very well.
And you mentioned their running back, Bobby Rainey, not the biggest guy in the building, but he's got good numbers. You see on the season, he's already well over 1,000 yards on the season, and not a big guy, but as you said, he's got some wiggle, and he's going to run hard every time they give him the football.
Well, he's a kid a little bit overlooked. He came out of Griffin, Georgia, and not highly recruited, but this is the type of player that they get, and he is a good back. He runs with some good combination of power and explosion, gets some good after contact yardage, so he's a really good player there. As we see Tyree Robinson, their flying corner there, making that play on the defensive side.
When we come back, we'll hear from Coach Les Miles and some players about being back in Tiger Stadium, in particular at night, the old night game thing that has gotten a little talk and a little play this year. You're watching Tigers Roar on Pelican Sports TV, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, New Orleans. Chris Landry, Tommy Chrysan, stay with us.
Hi, I'm Kimberly Duncan from the 2011 track and field team, and you are watching Pelican Sports TV.
It's time to score double points.
Papa's in the house.
Get double points every day to earn free pizza fast with Papa Rewards at papajohns.com.
The best way to kick off game day is with a better pizza, a Papa John's pizza.
Plus, get a large Works pizza or a Tuscan 6 cheese. Your choice, just $11 each. Get double points every day at papajohns.com.
Better ingredients, better pizza, Papa John's.
The official pizza sponsor of the NFL.
Explore the charms of the North Shore and visit St. Tammany Parish. Whether you're looking for a cultural experience or an adventure, you'll find it here. Enjoy great attractions and fantastic dining in a relaxed and friendly atmosphere.
Come visit us and discover the history and heritage that is Louisiana's North Shore.
For more information, log on to louisiananorthshore.com/bb.
Hi, I'm attorney Kerry Bryson. My law firm focuses specifically on helping people try to solve their IRS tax problems. Lately, so many new out-of-state companies are popping up claiming that if you send them money, They can resolve your IRS problems. Well, what happens if they don't? Do you hire an attorney? Maybe you should start with a local attorney that's already handled hundreds of IRS cases right here in Louisiana. When you hire the Bryson Law Firm, you won't be speaking long distance or sending money to some out-of-town high-pressure salesman. You'll meet with us in person at our office right here in Baton Rouge. Your first visit is completely free and confidential, and we'll tell you on the spot exactly how much it'll cost. So if you're hiring a company to resolve your IRS wage levies, bank levies, or tax liens, check their reputation first, then call me, Kerry Bryson, or go to BrysonLawFirm.com. If you're a Louisiana resident and you have an IRS problem, hire a Louisiana attorney, Kerry Bryson.
LSU will be back in Tiger Stadium and playing a night game with a little 6 o'clock kickoff. It's homecoming. Don't forget, Trent Johnson's basketball team opens the season at 12 noon in the Pete Maravich Assembly Center against the Nicholls State Colonels. So you can make a full day of it out there if you weren't planning on it already. If you were going to be out there, get into the PMAC at 12 noon to check out Trent Johnson's team, and we'll have some basketball info for you in hour number 2. Here's some quick comments from Coach Miles and the players about being back in Tiger Stadium, back at home, and playing at night.
I'm so happy to be back. I'm so happy to be back. Look forward for it to be a full house, just like it was in Alabama. They had their fans there. It's nothing like having your people behind your back hyping you up and pumping you up. So I look forward to being back in Tiger Stadium.
Enjoy the fact that it's 6 p.m. on ESPNU. Enjoy the fact we're back in Tiger Stadium.
You know, to have a Saturday night in Tiger Stadium is going to be good. It's been a while since that's happened, so we're looking forward to it.
This is maybe the second one all season, so we're definitely looking forward to playing in Death Valley at night.
I think some of those comments get an A+ on political correctness, Chris. I think the kickoff time means more to the fans and the media and everybody else than it does to those 90 guys that are dressed out. They just want to go play a football game. They get 12 games a year to play, plus an SEC game if they make it and a bowl game. But I don't think it really matters to the players all that much. But they're being politically correct. Let's get the night thing, the tradition of LSU football.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think players, kind of particularly the modern-day player that plays most of their games during the day anyway, because of TV, it doesn't make as much. But it is an important thing for fans, and I think everybody here understands that. So it's good that they're able to get this game at night and enjoy the nighttime area, and maybe a little with the weather this weekend. Maybe a little cool by the time the sun goes down. They might be wishing.
Might be wishing it was a
11:30 game in the sun, but
yeah,
they'll enjoy it. I'm sure they'll find ways to warm up, if you know what I mean.
Coach Les Miles is in his 7th season as the head coach here at LSU, and he's accomplished a lot, including his days at Oklahoma State. And he was asked by the media this week. He has 99 victories career-wise as a head coach, only 71 of them at LSU. But he goes for victory number 100, a milestone, a watermark, if you will. Here are Coach Miles' comments from the players about getting his 100th win.
It's just a number, but it's significant. His success here, is great, and we're going to go out and fight for his 100th win on Saturday.
So, Coach Miles is a great guy. We want to be those guys, help him get that 100 win. It's kind of new. I didn't even know nothing about it, so I think I'll bring that up and talk to him about it tomorrow.
I mean, that's a huge milestone for him, and, we're behind him all the way, and, he has our back with everything, and we just do the same for him. So to get that 100th win for him, hopefully this weekend, that'd be really good for him.
Oh, you definitely have to look at that, because every time we take the field, it's for the coach and get him a win. At the end of the day, he's the greatest coach in our book.
I mean, it'll mean a lot, because he's reaching a landmark that that's probably a goal that he set for himself. So it's going to be big for us, because we'll be able to be a part of that. So it's a big thing for us too.
It's just very, very accomplished, coach, very successful in what he does, and, on the field and off the field, has his players doing the right things.
It's amazing. It feels great to go out and play for him and get these wins.
Like you said, he got 99 wins. Who wouldn't want to play for a coach that had that many wins?
I think he'll be satisfied when we get about 104 and 105. So numbers don't really mean much to him. He'll be honored that it will be 100, but like I said, that's not his goal or ours, and he'll recognize there's still more work to do.
Chris, Les Miles is the longest tenured coach at LSU since Charlie McClendon, and you got to go back to the late 70s when McClendon was no longer the coach, and only two coaches in LSU football history, Charlie McClendon and Bernie Moore, have more wins as head football coach. And we get a look. He's 99 and 38 career-wise. Obviously, 28 of those wins coming at Oklahoma State up in Stillwater. 5-1 bowl record. 33 and 15 conference record, the BCS national title and SEC title, 2-0 in BCS games. Arguably one of the best coaches in LSU history, and he's getting in the category of one of the best coaches in the country.
Well, he's done a good job. Certainly he inherited a program that was in good shape, but he's done a good job with it. Not many people could have done really any better when you look at what he's done. Great resources, no doubt. Program was certainly in much better shape than when any other coach at LSU's history taken over. But he's done a good job taking advantage of all those advantages that he does have, and he's just been able to win, and obviously was able to get a national championship in a conference. It's really, you look at it though, and this may change this year. He's got one conference championship for all the wins and everything. I think this year certainly, I think he smells it. He sees and knows he's got a really good team. A chance to win another conference title, maybe another national title, but it's a game by game, and I do think that Will Blackwell's right. He'll be happy, but he's going to be really happy at the end of the year if it ends. And I think the impressive thing is you start looking at this team and how young it is. We'll get into this at another time and date, but this team may be even better next year. So he's got things going in a fine way at this point, and he just want to keep that train rolling down that track at the same level that he's got it.
Well, I've made this comment a lot here recently. I've spoken to the Wallace Quarterback Club a couple of weeks ago. You remember in the 1990s in Baton Rouge, it seemed like every time Skip Bertman decided to do something, you went, wait a minute, what's he doing that for? And all the national titles, all the success that Coach Bertman had. So you kind of just hit that level of, well, if Skip says that's what's best for the team, you got to go with it. I think Coach Miles has got himself into that category of saying, where if you're a fan or you're a member of the media, if he wants to play two quarterbacks the rest of the way, or he wants to play T-Bob Hebert quarterback, I mean, he's going to do what he thinks is best, and I think he's built the track record now and the history that you almost just got to defer to Les Miles, as baseball fans deferred to Skip Bertman throughout the 90s, as that the guy's doing something right. He's got the skins on the wall. Let's let him keep doing it.
Well, I get asked a lot, or I get told a lot, well, he's lucky. Well, in my opinion, luck is a residue of design and desire. I think it's a lot of what you do. And his philosophy is pretty simple. Recruit really good athletes, let them go out there and play, not overcomplicated with their scheme. And there are times, and we've seen it in the past couple of years, where, particularly offensively, quarterback situation, not as good. So games are a lot closer against maybe inferior opponents. It makes people nervous. And, well, he's lucky to win this game. He's lucky to win that game. But really good athletes find a way to make plays and sometimes bail you out as a coach. But now as you see all the components start to come together, you see the decisive victories that are not as close anymore, and you see the fact that they're that much better. And so I really believe it starts with what they do in recruiting and how they recruit. They certainly have gotten a little bit of a reputation of, hey, they'll let guys play, they let guys have fun. Some people are a little critical that swagger becomes a little bit of arrogance that maybe is not, well, that's maybe a fine line at times. But he recruits good athletes, he lets them play, they have fun, they like playing for him. And at the end of the day, you go out and you make a play. And yeah, maybe there's some luck to the ball bouncing right against Florida and all that, but there's an element of confidence to make a play call when you feel better players. And I think that's what's happened here. And it hasn't always been the case where he's had the best players, But I think right now, in pretty much every game he plays, he's got the best players. With maybe the exception of last week, he's got a decisively better team. So I think he just kind of lets it go, lets it all hang out, and I think he does a good job with it.
You know, and talking about luck, and I'm trying to remember which coach said this. It might have been Holtz, might have been Spurrier, I don't know. There was a coach that had a quote that said, you know, when asked about, hey, you got to be lucky. He says, yeah, but he says it's kind of funny because the harder I practice, the luckier I get.
That's
you know,
exactly
like, hey, you know, yeah, luck's a part of it, and you're gonna get that good bounce, and you're gonna get that good fortune sometimes.
It's a residue. It's a residue of design and desire. I believe if you have really good players, and I believe that you aggressively design and believe in your game plan, believe in your philosophy, and you work it, then I do believe you start to believe it's going to happen. If you look at all the great teams, I don't care if it's the 70 Steelers, you know, I mean, the 60 Packers, I mean, the Cowboys under Coach Landry, a lot of close games, they find a way to win those close games. And what do you hear other people that are fans of those teams that play against them? Those son of a guns are lucky. They know how to win games. They're aggressive. They attack. Go out and make a play. That's what they'll put on them. Go out and make a play. Go out and dominate. And I think while it manifests itself at times in some mistakes, for the most part, over the long haul, when you're the better team, you're going to come out better at the better end of it. In a game like against Alabama, I looked at both coaches. I quite frankly, after watching it 3 times on coaching tape, I'm convinced both of those coaches were playing more not to lose than to win that game. I'm convinced of that. But they played really well, and they're very fundamentally sound in special teams and defense. And they this year have been much better on offense, and that's all the luck you need, as far as I'm concerned.
And on the other side of that coin, the teams that struggle. Vanderbilt going in for that touchdown against Arkansas, they fumbled, and they miss a field goal. I mean,
because you don't want to be the one.
You find a way to lose.
You don't want to be the one to cause your team to lose that game when you're constantly losing and you're struggling. When you're winning, everybody wants to be a part of that party. Everybody wants to be. I want to do something. I want to make a play. And it's definitely contagious. There's no question about it. And the better athletes you have, the better ball players you are, the luckier you get.
We come back. We got a whole another hour of Tigers Roar for you. Spread the roar. Baton Rouge, Lafayette, New Orleans. Stream it online at PelicanSportsTV.com. Chris Landry, Tommy Krysan, spread the roar. We got another hour for you. Stay with us.